I need to set my timer here because I like to talk. And Yolanda reminds me very often that although I think I have a lot to say, usually I end up repeating myself after about 20 minutes. So you guys are going to get the better version. I'm a Course in Miracles person. That means that I teach A Course in Miracles. Yolanda and I have a group on Wednesdays in Manhattan. It's a good part of our ministry. Yolanda writes a lot of her songs based on lessons from A Course in Miracles. I think Course in Miracles is just one of the many books that can help us discover what we're doing in our lives that's not producing the happiness that we're promised. Not seeing heaven. We see that all the time. It's like heaven, every spiritual book says heaven is right here. Heaven, your happiness, your fulfillment is right before you. And you don't see it. That's it. That's it. That's it. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm here every Sunday. I'm also learning how to use this timer. Apparently. I know, apparently that was 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. That was 1 minute. So if you read the Course in Miracles, we read it every year. This point in the Course in Miracles is like the second chapter. And the second chapter is it's called self versus concept of self. That's why I wanted to talk to you about true perception, which is the main part of that, which is the main part of the understanding of that chapter. A little bit of understanding of what projection is, but it's about let's begin the year by learning how to see what is. Valuable tools. She calls the Course in Miracles is a translated book, so I refer to the translator as she, Helen Schuckman. She calls perception, if you're seeing correctly, you can see the light. You ever seen the light in somebody? Are you actually seeing like light pouring out of their eyes? Right? It's a way of understanding when you can see somebody. When someone says she lights up a room, like Yolanda lights up a room. Right? We know what that means because we see the light. She gives you an example of that is what true perception is. Why isn't every living being showing up as that light for us? Just a question to ask. And one of the reasons why I like Unity so much, and I've spent a lot of time in Unity churches, is they remind us that our goal, or like the idea, is to see through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, or to see through the Christ eyes, or to see through the Christ consciousness eyes. That's true perception. So we can understand that concept, but the idea of how to get there is something else. Or like, how do you operate in a body and do that and have true perception and see what is, if that is your goal, if you want to see what is. She also calls true perception a blessing. And it's not like we're getting blessed. Isn't it true that when someone sees you as you really are, you feel like you have been given a blessing? When someone actually sees you, don't you want to give other people the blessing of seeing them? I mean, if it feels that good for you, that's information. That's the scientific method of what works. Because you're doing it, and you have the data that says this is what feels good. This is what rings true for me. This is something that I recognize. This is the light, and I understand this. And when I'm being understood, it's a blessing to be in front of somebody. You know how frustrating it is to like talk and not being understood? Yeah. You watch television? There's a lot of that going on. Because we aren't seeing each other. We stopped a long time ago thinking that's even a valuable thing to even try to do. Often. Some people, it's a lot easier to see as they really are. Children, right? Even when they're behaving badly, all those videos of children having meltdowns, and we're like, everybody was just like howling because this kid's having a meltdown because it's so funny. We recognize that. You know, we totally recognize that. It's such innocence. That's what we're able to see. Even through all of the pain and suffering, we can see the innocence in somebody. A lot of times, our elders, like people in nursing homes and such, it's easy to see them. They're seeing you very quickly. People in crisis and stress often see quickly, faster. And we don't have to let ourselves get stressed before we learn the value of seeing ourselves and others as we truly are. We have that information, so we can say, oh, that's a good thing to like normalize. That's a good thing to remember how to do. How to do it. We talked about, it's already been mentioned here today, we often see the world through as if we're looking at a distorted mirror, like a funhouse mirror. But the crazy thing is there are some funhouse mirrors that we've all agreed are supposed to be real, right? Like, I need this many commas in my bank account in order to feel happy. I need to have this many zeros in my zip code in order to be happy. It was one thing when I moved to New York, I said, I fell in love with Soho. And that's got like the most zeros in the zip code. And it's like 1000001. So I thought, oh man, if I ever get all those zeros in my zip code, I know I'll make it. It's like 20 years ago. We see the world as a distorted mirror because we didn't have perfect parents. And the world isn't perfected as we see it, as we have constructed it. So there are some mirrors that we agree that are real that are actually distorted. Like, we can't get along, or I can't see you as you really are, or creating hierarchies of experience, that it's better to be this type of person, this kind of person than another kind of person, or this experience is better than another experience. It's one thing I really value about A Course in Miracles. She says, when we compare our lives, when we compare life, when we compare experiences, it's a dangerous thing. Because we're unique. Like I said last time I was here, we are so absolutely incredibly unique in this whole systems. You have a face and a fingerprint and everything that's never going to happen again. We're each and every one of us necessary in the time and place and situation in which we find ourselves. Our happiness is right before us, and we don't see it. We don't see it because we're looking at a distorted mirror. It's a habit, and we can unlearn that habit by using the scientific method. What works? What is actually working? We found out today that like having a regular community that holds you accountable for, showing up as a three-dimensional person is a good thing, right? Your community and people who know you and trust you and see you. It's good. That is one good habit. I would offer another good habit is your prayer life. A lot of words for the Holy Spirit in this room. I really like that. My favorite word for the Holy Spirit is the voice that likes me. Ever heard that? It's the voice that likes me. Because very often there is a capricious voice I have that doesn't seem to be all that interested in my well-being. Two voices in my head. One of them is really interested in comfort and privilege, and the other one is interested in sharing and connection. Sharing and connection are the answers, is the path that's going to bring me my most happiness. The fruits of that labor is my happiness. So I participate in what's true. I participate in what works. I participate in the laws of God because they produce the outcomes in my life that I want. It is as simple as that. It is the scientific method. It is, the Hindus call it karma. What comes around goes around. What kind of person you believe you are is the kind of person you're telling the world to treat you as. and you're teaching others how to treat you when either you're participating with the truth, we are participating with what is true, or we're looking and participating in some kind of made-up, distorted mirror that we're all just kind of not going to talk about and just agree that something can't be changed. The world has changed a lot in my lifetime. My formative years were between two assassinations, the Kennedy assassination and the King assassination. That is when psychologically speaking, as a child, that's for the first 5 years of your life. And those were the first 5 years of my life between those two assassinations. So I don't know so much about how materially that has affected my life, but it is my job as Glen Ganaway, 53 years old, going to be 54 this year, to make sure that I know who I am, so that I am able to share that with the world, share that with you. I was saying to a friend earlier today, one of my new favorite things to say is, I'm the most interesting person in the room. And if we're all one, it's true. And I want to be in a room full of people who believe that they're the most interesting person in the room. Right? I want to be with people that are interested in being who they are and interested in sharing that with the world. I have a very, very diverse group of friends because I really enjoy people who are interested in curating their world, curating their life for me. Oh, let me show you about this great restaurant I found. Oh, let me show you where I got these shoes. Oh, I went to this weird movie. Or what are you binging on Netflix? Or like, I saw this really cool thing. Or, I want to be around people that are excited about being who they are, about sharing themselves with the world. And the way I got there personally was to decide that I wanted to be here, that I wanted to be Glen. It took me almost 40 years to feel like being Glen was something of a burden and something that I was just going to have to manage, because I'm not tall enough, I don't have enough hair on my head, I wasn't born with a trust fund, blah, 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 blah. I only have 3 initials after my name instead of 6 like my dad. Comparing, all that comparing. My life isn't comparable to yours. Your life isn't comparable to mine or anyone else's. Your life is really amazing. It's really interesting. The world needs you to become excited about what you're going to give the world, what you're going to share with the world, and that's every day. We're talking earlier about making kindness like normal instead of this heroic, valor-filled, parade people about and needs a slap on the back for being a human being. I think, it's my opinion, the Course agrees with me, or I agree with the Course, miracles. It's an instinct, and it's an instinct that we can develop. It's an instinct that we can practice, and it's a God-given instinct. I'm using this in real practical terms, but if God is within and Holy Spirit is within, you can act like it. We can act like it. We can use our prayer life to say, what is going on here? What does this mean? I'm upset by this. I gotta be wrong about what's happening here. My opinion about the world and all of this has got to be wrong because I'm now upset. I'm not seeing clearly if I'm angry. I'm not seeing clearly if I'm upset. I'm not seeing clearly if I feel ineffectual. Knowing who I am means I'm able to share with the world. And being able to know who I am allows me to see the world as it is, because I'm not asking the world to make things okay. Like we learned already, we're already okay. What isn't okay is that our anxiety about what we're supposed to be doing in some situation. So we're not usually angry. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not usually angry at the situation. I'm angry because I don't know how to respond well. Because I'm lettered in two sports. I like sports and athletics and things like that. And we did drills a lot. Drill and drill and drill and drill and drill and run and run and run and run and run. So when you're out in the field and it counts, you're not thinking about what to do. You're just doing it, right? That's prayer. That's what your prayer life can do for you. That's what going to church can do for you. That's what consciously practicing, what's the kindest thing I can do? To study a book or to have your own system of self-discipline. Why? It's not to punish yourself or try to prove you're a good person. It's so that you can learn what the truth is, so we can build the structures to create the experiences that you want to have. Peace on earth. Maybe. God says it's already here. Why aren't we experiencing it? We are love. And we can look inside people that are even more, very, very, very stressed and say, wow, that's a call for love if I've ever heard one. You know? That's a call for help. This person is in real pain. You know, instead of needing to blame and punish. It's like, offer the help that's being asked for. Can you help me? I guarantee you that if I am losing my mind, that I want help and not a pile-on. So I'm here to offer you that this self-knowledge brings about miracles. It brings about miracles because you're not trying to make the world do anything. You're sharing yourself with the world. You're sharing God with the world. You're God's ambassador. You're God's spokesmodel, right? To the world. That's what you're doing. And we're either doing it consciously or we're doing it unconsciously, which means we're in the service of something else. And I guarantee you, you will be doing something on this earth. You're going to walk around, you're going to buy, you're going to go to, our jobs and things like that. You're going, like the song says, you're going to serve somebody. You can serve us, God. But to do that, you have to know who you are. Knowing who you are, becoming an interested person in your own life, interested in our own lives, will allow us to immediately see other people as they are and be thrilled with them too. Because I know that if I'm interesting, I know you're interesting. So who's the most interesting person in the room? I am. Thank you.